Enjoy your Zoa. No applause? You're all fired.
Now that you've reached the stage in your life where quality television is important, Nubian TV is a black network that speaks to your lifestyle. Nubian TV is the world's first digital network devoted to the upscale and political lifestyles of black people. Nubian TV's programming includes politics, travel, fashion, food, automotive, arts and culture, civil rights, music, and more. Watch now on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, or watch globally at nubiantv.net. Nubian TV, it's what you want to watch. Now that you've reached the stage in your life,
come with me if you want to live a more delicious life.
Oh, maybe we should get in the van.
In this world, we don't get to control much. The past, male pattern baldness.
Leggies.
Got one right now. The urge to puff that bubble wrap. But there is one thing we do get to choose every single day. What we eat. Welcome to the Sonic Department of Research and Deliciousment. We have everything you want, didn't know you wanted, and some things you didn't know were possible. Because we believe if you're not having fun, you're not living free. So come on, let's live a little.
Hey, good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Money! Are you ready? They are ready!
Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here.
It's always a good time.
That's what the show's about.
That's good.
Really good. Very good.
Coming in hot! Jimmy coming in hot!
It's far from elementary.
Good morning, America.
I'm not going to try to strut like Michael or anything.
I have known George a long, long time.
Have you ever gotten him to dance?
Look at that face.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be here.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in. That tells you something when Snoop Dogg's in. Michael, George, where?
Ginger.
Prepare for a journey beyond imagination, beyond belief, beyond anything you've experienced before. Universal Epic Universe, a new theme park where you'll step through extraordinary portals to 5 immersive worlds. Prepare for a cosmic voyage of discovery, an isle of fire-breathing excitement, a shadowy world of monsters and mystery, new wonders in the wizarding world, and a new way to play. Plus the splendor of a magnificent resort hotel overlooking the park. It's all new excitement at Universal Orlando Resort. A week's worth of vacation thrills with 4 amazing theme parks, a variety of spectacular themed hotels, and incredible dining and entertainment. It's all at Universal Orlando Resort, where you'll find new adventures every day. Explore the astonishing worlds of Universal Epic Universe at Universal Orlando Resort.
Hello to you, and you. Welcome into another edition of Brainley's Virtual Tour Live. Glad to have all of you here in the building with me. I literally just got done watching the season finale of Temptation Island on Netflix, and I have so many thoughts. You saw the thumbnail. You know my voice, and damn it, you know why you here, because anyone can just make content to exist on a platform, but it takes somebody to create content with soul, and that's what we do over here. Whoa, we got a lot to talk about, y'all. Higher is waiting, low is available, but either way, we are live on tour. Plus, now that some updates on these couples as well. So we take down this iconic intro here. You see the virtual tour background. Yes, you do. You hear that legendary virtual tour music. Yes, you do. And then there it is. Me. Hey, I welcome in. Glad to have you all here. So we have been on quite the ride, the journey, the experience, if you will, of Temptation Island. For those of you who don't know, it's about 4 couples who are in a crossroads, in the relationship, rather. And so they go to this island where everyone is single again. So the 4 women live in a villa with 12 single men, and the 4 men live in a villa with 12 single women. And so we have been on this journey for 9 episodes, and it has concluded. And oh, buddy, I have a lot of thoughts. I think that they staggered these couples just right. So if you guys remember at the end of episode 9, the first bonfire was Brian and Shante. It was the beginning of their bonfire. They were just seeing each other. So now we're at episode 10. So Brian is crying and basically saying that, Shante looks beautiful, and Shante says, thank you, yeah. And so Mark gives the process for what's going to happen with each of these couples. Part 1 of this is going to be each person will get the chance to speak uninterrupted. And then part 2 of it will be an open conversation. And then part 3 will be that decision to leave together, leave separately, or to leave with somebody that you found on the island. So we start off with the uninterrupted statement. Go with Shante first. Shante says we came to this island to prove that you can have platonic relationships with women, and to do what you did with no regret and say that you didn't have any regret made me feel worthless. And to hear that others felt disrespected, it left me confused and worrisome for you. I don't see how your actions match up with who you want to be. Now, Shante, I gotta tell you something. That was probably really hard for you to say that to him because you love him so much, but you did say it was going to be a hard conversation because Brian does have an account to pay for. And then Brian, his uninterrupted statement is this: I apologize for hurting you. I love you. It's been emotional as hell these last days. When I came to the island, I was fake, and it was surface level with how I was moving in our relationship. I was abused, adopted, abused more, left the house at 17 years old. And I used women as a way to find love. And I thought wild sex and threesomes could fill that gap, but turns out to be no avail. And that I'm not worthy of you. You deserve the best of a man. And I want to be a great boyfriend, future husband, father to our kids. Now, in this final bonfire, this is the bonfire that decides everything for these couples. To me, this is just me. I would never go on the show. But if I was a friend inside the house, which I feel like I could be a good friend inside the house, for the men or for the women, because I have that perspective of, let's sit down and really talk about the quiet part that you're not wanting to say out loud, and let's work from there. In this circumstance, I would not say what I would want to be. Now, I know what you're thinking. you're going to be alone or you're going to leave with somebody new, you should make your statements known about what you want to do. That is true. However, it takes two to tango, right? So just because you want it doesn't mean she want it. So you could say that you want to be this good boyfriend. You could say that you want to be a good future husband and father to your kids, but maybe she doesn't want that. So I feel like in this space is the space for confirmation, to understand what you couldn't understand, and closure, and then leave the island. And to me, I feel like if I was in this moment, right, I would leave the island alone. Not because I don't love the person I'm with if I was on the show, but because I believe that I need time to breathe and you need time to breathe after the island. We need to engage in real life and see if anything, has weight. That's just me, because I feel like leaving the island after this whole experience, that's a little perplexing. So if you decide to leave the island with somebody after all the clips of the bonfire, and your emotional state and their emotional state not being in the best condition, and y'all think that y'all can be a couple after that, you have to be out your rabbit ass mind. To me. So let's keep going. So both statements have been said by Shante and Breon. Now we get to the conversation. Shante says, be honest about what happened. And, the fact that about 3 no regret comes up. And, see Maya, come in and say that she felt disrespected, was very difficult, and to see what happened, to see what Breon did, right? It fucking hurt. And she has put herself before others in every situation. And, Shante has put Breon before herself. And in this experience, it made her put herself first. Breon said that was ego and pride and was deflection. Amaya held me accountable. She was the closest connection that I made. And, Amaya said that I have seen growth in you and that I hope that she shows you some grace. And, Mark brings up the fact of, there's got to be something deeper here, right? Because you're not giving that vulnerability. If you remember, Breon talked about, he was the only black guy in a white family, and his parents were on drugs, and his grandmother couldn't raise him, and so he was out the house, I think when he was 2 years old, and had to go to college by himself. Like, that emotional baggage he has never been able to unpack before. So Mark was saying, like, listen, you're talking about the island, but I need you to talk about you. And so he said, to be left out and neglected for 17 years, you don't know what love is. And it's the shit from way before that I have to deal with. So the statements have been made from Breon and Shante. The open conversation has been had by Breon and Shante. Now it's decision time. So Breon wants to leave with Shante. And Shante says to Mark, can I have a moment? And Mark says, absolutely. And when Mark said absolutely in the tonality that he said absolutely, I felt like, oh my God. I mean, talk about, when it all falls down. And I could see Shante mentally crashing. Because it's like, how do I reconcile my worth with what's in front of me? And she goes over to hug the PA, which is a production assistant. And that production assistant can't influence her to do anything, but it's just trying to. And at first, Shante says that she needs to choose herself, right? And Breon said that you have every right to do that. And then Mark asks Shante, I need to know what you have decided. That Shante decides that she's going to leave the house with Breon. I lost it. I'm like, Shante. You know what? I got to bring up the clip. I got to bring up the clip. I just gotta bring it up. I have to bring this up. Let me make sure this is the right clip. Yep, this is the right one. And this is genuinely how I felt. My Lord, just Shante. I'm gonna need a friend to help me out with this one. I'm gonna need a good friend to help me out with this one because I just can't do it. Roll it, Tyra. Roll it, girl. Let's hear it.
Be quiet, but everybody, be quiet. That's what it's wrong to be. But you're not. Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yelled at this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you learn something from this? You go to bed at night, you lay there, and you take responsibility for yourself. Be quiet, but everybody.
Tyra, I could not have said it better. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What the fuck is your ass doing? You mean to tell me after this man has said on an international streaming platform that he had a threesome and he has no regret, and some of the ladies felt that he was being disrespectful and not being accountable for what he has done? Like Angel said, you're a Christian, but you want threesomes. You want to be open, but you're not open to your woman. And you still take him back after all that shit. I am going to assume that Shante believes that things can get better. But there's a scripture in the Bible that says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So, Shante, I still have hope for you. Rian, obviously you got some things to unpack. Shante, you should have left the island alone, child. You should have. I think that you and him both need time to decompress. There's an update on Rian and Shante that we'll get to just a little bit. Woo, my Lord Jesus. Okay, so we got Rian and Shante out the way. Now we're going to talk about Tyler and Taylor. So Taylor comes first, then Tyler. There's no hug. Taylor said, the point of coming to this island was to prove that I could trust you and to prove to me that I'm your first and only choice. You asked me not to give up on you. I did not let you cross the boundary. The nonchalant, jokey attitude you have upheld throughout this entire experience was extremely hurtful and extremely disrespectful, rather, to what we have built. I want someone dependable, consistent, trustworthy, and to know how special I am. I'm sorry you won't get to experience the new and improved me. Taylor, first of all, congratulations. It takes a lot to walk away, not knowing what the next chapter is going to be. I felt that she was very articulate, very finite, and she was not making any apologies for her growth. So well done to you, Taylor. Now we get to Tyler. Tyler felt a way about his vulnerability being used against him and to push that agenda that Taylor had. And the original goal was for Tyler to prove to Taylor that he could be this, that, third. And Tyler was tempted to pursue his value, new ideas, new growth, and humility. And he wanted his decision for them not to be determined by sexual relations with someone else. And I apologize for what I specifically put you through. Tyler, the fact that you said you did not want your decision to be influenced by sexual relations with someone else, bruh, you were dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. This woman said to you in her uninterrupted response, she wants someone dependable, consistent, trustworthy, and to know how special she is. She did not mention sex one time. Bruh, you one-track minded. You a stagnant prince. She's a progressive queen. I can't. So Taylor says, this is the conversation. Taylor says, you had tears in your eyes crying about not giving up on me, and then reference the baby, you're trouble, which is the first thing that Tyler said to Taylor when they kissed. And you felt something for Kay within 72 hours. For 6 to 9 months, there was no team. And you have not had a job in a year. I'm not here to raise you. And all Taylor wanted was an action plan. And this is what I will say when it comes to that. I believe in pursuing your dreams responsibly. What does that mean? You have stability as you're pursuing your dreams. I've been pursuing my media dream for over, a decade now? Since 2012 to 22, that's 10 years. 23, 24, 25. So that's about, 13 years now? But I still have stability. I have a resource. Thank God for that resource. My student loans are paid off. I have a job. So I have stability. And because I have that stability, I've learned to utilize that stability to pursue my dreams. And there's this thing called struggle love. And women don't want to invest in struggle love. Women want to see progress and progression. And so while I feel that Tyler wants to pursue his dreams, I think you can pursue your dreams and still be responsible for the stability that you can create. But I think the thing that really got to Taylor was she just wanted an action plan. She just wanted to know that it was going somewhere. And I think that that's a valid request in a relationship. You should know where you're going. Otherwise, you need to stop the mental road trip. So Tyler then says, the lap dance did cross the boundary, and he was trying to catch his life up to hers. And when he zoomed out, he realized that he will never be enough for her. And Tyler's upset about the bitch tendency comment. And he thinks that Taylor does not want to take a risk on him. And Taylor, this is what Tyler said to Taylor. You want somebody who's mature, who's a provider, who provides stability. And Taylor said that you have had 5-year marriage, no break, 2.5 years with me, and that you need a break. And Tyler said, I appreciate the advice. He said in a very nonchalant, arrogant, and narcissistic fashion to me. Because even you, Tyler, said that you felt like you needed a break. Even you said that. So for you to say that was completely a waste of time. And there was a lot of back and forth. And Mark said, you, Taylor, telling him to grow up and make money puts pressure on you because you're not feeling safe. And then because Tyler is feeling like he's being told what to do, that makes him feel less than. So talk about your feelings and what you do to me. So then Tyler says, I feel very undervalued and pushed because of your agendas, and it makes me very sad that I feel worthless. And Taylor said that she feels unsafe and unstable, and she does things for survival. And she wishes that she could get out of this fight or flight mentality, but being on this island, she feels like she's finally gotten out of that. She feels hopeless with Tyler, and she feels gutted because she wants so much for him, and she wanted Tyler to follow with Taylor. A very hard conversation. I think that was probably a clarifying conversation that they both needed, obviously. So, like I said, the statements have been said, the conversation has been had. Now it's decision time. Taylor is leaving alone. I wasn't surprised by that decision because, like she said, she's not in love with me. But she also is not opposed to falling in love with Yamin. But I feel that she needs to leave alone because she just really wants to breathe. Tyler is leaving with Kay. Gee, what a shock. Tyler said that, Kay has, has had understanding of who he is and as a spiritual person, and that this could be island fever. And so when Kay came out, Tyler said that I'm ready to leave the island with you, even though it brings up 1,000 question marks. So that was pretty much that. So with Tyler and Kay, like I said, the real work begins after the island. And I hope that Tyler gets some grass under his feet with this relationship this time. Because he said the fact that he did not have grass under his feet, provided that space where he felt like he could be vulnerable. So hopefully you don't just jump into this without grass under your feet. You know what I mean? So that was that. All right, y'all. Grant and Ashley are next. So Grant comes out first, and Ashley comes down. Grant tries to hug Ashley, and Ashley is like, that's okay. Oh, Lord. So we get to Grant. So the uninterrupted statements rather are first. So Grant says, you are worth chasing around the world. It's been great, but that's not our whole story. I love you so much, and what I've been chasing has become unattainable. I hate that I'm the one that has hurt you so much. And I know it's been your worst nightmare seeing what was on that screen, and the connection I made was real and was not done out of spite. I realized how disrespected and belittled I was in our relationship. I forgive you, and I finally forgive myself. Now, with Grant's statement, I will say, he recognized that it was a chase. But I felt like that was weak because you come to the island was not about chasing her. It was about the chase. It was about how can I put it? It wasn't about the chasing her around the world, but it was wanting to get to a destination of peace with her. And I felt like you utilized the chase to negate what you really wanted with Ashley. That's why I felt like. So there is that. Ashley says, I do not have a lot to say. You want to sit here and say that you're a good man. Could you have decided you could not be faithful or loyal to me before coming here? And the objective was to prove that I could trust you. And for days, you said to the ladies of the house, it's not working. and you railing some girl in the bathroom. Was that thinking about my emotions, right? And Grant said, no, not at that point. And Ashley said that my actions were a reaction to your behavior. And so you're going to sit there and act like I don't know that you cheated every relationship. You're a serial cheater. And the relief that I felt from seeing what was on those clips of the bonfire was overwhelming. And my gut told me that was going to happen. So those were the uninterrupted statements. Obviously, Ashley has felt this way for a while, that there was something uneasy about her contributions in this relationship. And to be real with you, I felt like for Ashley and Grant, this island was just a test to see if it could have been a confirmation. They both knew for each other that was over, but they needed an experience to confirm that was over. So then we get to the conversation. Ashley said that the relationship was over when we separated from this island. Your actions are your actions and your words are not matching. I held on to that resentment that has made me a dark person. I have been mean to you. I have belittled you. I'm not proud of that. I held on to you so hard. But to let go and breathe, I'm finally free and happy. Grant felt the same way, that the relationship was over when they separated. And Grant was on an emotional roller coaster up and down, ripping apart the relationship, trying to figure out why he was in it, why he was forcing the relationship to work when he should cut it off a long time ago. In the words of Deborah Morgan, I'ma cut it off. I'ma cut it off. I'ma cut it off. You gotta watch that Tony Braxton Break My Heart film to understand why I'm saying that. But it's not for cutting off a relationship. It's for another thing entirely. You can catch that movie on Lifetime's YouTube channel for free. Yes, Indian. Shout out to Deborah Morgan, legendary actress as well. Let's see. You was never going to let go of that resentment. I've cared about your feelings and not mine. I appreciate everything you've done for our relationship. I don't appreciate the disrespect. I don't appreciate the belittling. You emasculate me. The universe sent me a piece of shit. Comment. He was upset about that. I will never let go of this. I don't want that guy. And he was like, how did you think that made me feel? And I will say this, right? When you are not feeling valued, when you're not being embraced, and when you're not being heard, that does build up resentment. That does build up disassociation. That does build a space of uneasiness, right? And so I can relate to Grant with that. I think anybody in life wants to be valued, right? So I can at least agree with that. Then Grant was really breaking down, crying. He said, I want you to be happy with me. I want you to see my worth without me having to prove it. And you are so amazing, which is why I knew I fucked up. And I hate that doesn't work. So like I said, the statements have been said, the conversation has been had, and now it's decision time. Now, if you guys remember episode 9, the last episode before this one, Natalie said that she would understand if Grant left the island alone. But Natalie wants to leave the island with Grant. And Grant did not know what he was going to do until the bonfire. So Grant decided that he wanted to go home alone, leaving the door open for, what could be. And then Ashley said that I'm leaving with someone else. And Grant broke down. That was hard. That was really hard. I mean, on one hand, with Ashley, she didn't feel that he was honoring, that Ashley did not feel that Grant was honoring her. And Danny didn't feel love from Ashley. So it was two people that were both broken, but they didn't have. So you're broken with what you don't have. You find people that you can have it, that you can have that fulfillment with, right? So that was hard. And, Danny comes out and, they talk about their journey. And so Danny and Ashley leave. And, Mark says, keep in touch, this, that, and the third. So then we get to Alexa and Lino. I'm going to Acapulco, not Acapulco, but Acapulco, this part of the show. So Alexa comes down first, then Lino, and they do hug. The uninterrupted statements are this. Alexa has loved Lino. Alexa's love for Lino rather has grown. And, the space for them was very empty. And she thought it was codependency, but our connection is just that deep and special. That's why it felt empty when Alexa was not around Lino. And she brought a lot of guilt into their relationship from before Lino and during the beginning of Lino. And so because of the island, she has taken that guilt off her shoulders. She appreciates all 4 years, him getting, moving and changing career paths and everything else. She recognized that wasn't forced, but it was a choice. But you cannot hold that over my head anymore. And Alexa said, I don't need you in my life, but I want you in my life. And then Lino says, I came into this, with second choice energy, resentment, trust issues. And that was a deep rooted insecurity. And I was projecting that onto you, not you projecting it onto me. And very lovely conversation. Seems like both sides were heard, both sides, understood each other, but most of all, they met right where each other were. So then the conversation happens. And Alexa says, well, it seems like you answered one of my questions. Did you get the clarity that you need? And Lino said, I have clarity, I have security, I found out what true love was, and is, and will always be. And Lino said that I don't need to question you about your experience. If you have questions for me, go ahead. That was very brave. To trust your partner that much, not to ask. Because this space of this bonfire, or the bonfire, is where you can let it all go. So very, very mature, Lino, on your part. Alexa was scared about that girl that was flirting with Lino. And Lino said nothing happened. And Alexa has been battling with her head versus her heart. But she has this, trust in her gut that what we have is so, so special. So then, like I said, the statements have been said, conversation's been had, now it's decision time. Alexa chose Lino, and Lino chose Alexa. So, Mark gives very complimentary thoughts, and then they leave. Alexa turned the corner, and it is this beautiful, Lord Jesus. Just one of the most beautiful setups for a proposal I've seen. And Alexa, as Lino was talking, started to just like a Jack in the Box. And so when Lino proposed, I was legitimately crying. I'm going to recreate what happened for you all in the control room, right? The director's like, are you all right? Shut the fuck up! And then the producers are why can't love me like that? Please to leave the room. Leave the room and get out of his house. Please. That is probably what happened in that control room, because to see Lino and Alexa at the end of it, that much together, that much in love, and that much in sync, was such a beautiful thing to see, that this island does not have to break you, but it can make you better. So, with that being said, that is your season 9, episode 10 after show Temptation Island. Now, I did tell you there are some updates, right? Let's get to those. Ooh, my Lord Jesus. Ooh, what a season. Well done, Netflix. I'm waiting for season 2. Yes, indeed. All right, y'all. So here we go from To Doom. And by the way, if you don't know why they call this website To Doom, it is for the sound that happens when you hear when you see the Netflix logo. Doom sound. So that's why they call it To Doom. So, which Temptation Island? We'll look at that too. Which Temptation Island couples are still together, and where are they now? I have not read this, so we're about to read together live. Right here. After enduring plenty of trouble in paradise, plus multiple shared showers, tearful heart-to-hearts, and yes, even a threesome, the 4 couples who traveled to Temptation Island have now have their answer to the question, is this relationship built to last? By the end of the new season, 2 of the original couples left the island together and 2 went their separate ways. But the drama has only heated up since the final bonfire mediated by host Mark L. Wahlberg, as the entanglements, emotional or otherwise, among the group have somehow gotten even messier. So who's still together? What have they learned from the experiment? And which love triangle continued long after filming ended? Let's find out. Right here. To find out, keep reading as the Temptation Island couples and singles unpack their relationship baggage and share updates about where they stand today. The couples. Look at that happy couple right there. Oh, my Lord Jesus. That's so lovely. That's so lovely. Alexa and Lino, they are engaged. That's their stance. Alexa and Lino's time on Temptation Island proved that getaways bring them closer together. The happy couple is planning their dream destination for Sorrento, Italy for the fall of next year. That is so lovely. And I bet, or at least I hope, that there will be a Temptation Island live wedding from Sorrento, Italy. Yes, indeed. For the foreseeable future, Alexa will be sweating about the wedding details while also completing her nurse practitioner's program. But the 2 aren't worried about jam-packed schedule. After Temptation Island, they know whatever challenges arise, they will always have each other's backs. Lino and I are a team, Alexa says. Every single word that we were both saying throughout the experiment, we were thinking of the other person. The 2 made sure to get on the same page after filming and to debrief on the highs and lows of their experience. We did a little 3-day vacation together in Hawaii with no phones, and we discussed everything. She shares there was nothing for us to hide because we had that time together to lay everything out. Our communication got better. They used those newfound communication skills to navigate some familiar challenges since leaving the island. Recently, the couple moved yet again for Alexa's job, but this time Lino had no qualms about it. They have come up with a clear plan for their future that serves them both. I have entrepreneurial aspirations that align with Alexa. Lino says once she finishes school and the 2 times the night, they will finally move one last time back home to Florida, where they can be closer to family and open a clinic together. Oh, that's so nice. As much as this experience cemented Alexa and Lino's commitment, he describes their relationship as indestructible. Be careful of the superlatives you put in front of your relationship, good sir, because not everybody who puts a superlative or a trait in front of their name on YouTube, social media, or on anything that is in their life is true. or false. They also show the importance of focusing on their individual growth. On the island, Lino picked up the habit of keeping a daily journal, which helps him stay positive and affirm himself. And Alexa learned to trust her gut, which in turn led to a sense of peace that she didn't have before. Congratulations to Alexa and Lino. What a wonderful update from them. Let's see our next. These two. Okay. Now, Shante, you looking like, okay, now you know I really don't want to leave with you. And Breon says, I love you. Drive me crazy. Thinking about you, baby. Shout out to Tony Braxton. Shante and Breon still together. That's their stats. After leaving Temptation Island together, Shante and Breon stayed up all night talking about the experience, which gave them both a sense of closure. I don't think we've ever talked that much nonstop before. And yet you still left the island with him. Okay, child. Shante tells to Doom, since we came back home, those conversations have just kept going. Shante admits she wished she didn't take a threesome with other women for Breon to realize what he really wanted. As sad as it is and annoying as it is, I don't know if we would have had those conversations if that didn't happen, she adds. We could have just been down this bad spiral of not really knowing how each other feels. You were already in that spiral. Like, what are we doing here? But okay. Shante says, and I quote, she knows that people have a lot of opinions about her decision to stay with Breon, but given their history, she's willing to hear him out instead of automatically judging his behavior. I could tell it was more physical, not an emotional thing, she says. Let me go back in my notes for a minute. Let me go back in my notes. I just want to see something. Because I swear there was something that Shante said. Y'all give me a moment because I swear. Let's see here. Not the dates. That. Not that one. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was. I think what it was when it came to the threesome, right? You know, Mark asked, "Could that experience not have been of love and emotion?" And Shante said, "How could it not? Because he knows that I'm going to see this, right?" So, Shante, I guess that's where I'm a little frustrated with you, just a little bit, because it's just like you said that, but you still left with him, though. Right? And I think that's where I am confused, because you said that how could it be not of love and emotion, or it's, you know, hang on, because I'm trying to figure out. All right, here. Am I with the right person? Sexual, emotional. Don't have to give up one on the other. Or knowing that He brought me here to prove to me it still hurts and the other ladies may not support him. You said that during, I think that was episode 4, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to find the specific words here because, and like I said, Shante, you have every right to feel the way you feel. Just recognize, though, right, that not everybody's going to accept what you have to say, right? Right here, episode 7. Does it matter if it's completely disconnected from love and emotion? And you said, how could it be not love and emotion? Because he knows that I'm going to see this. And you said it's hurtful, it's disrespectful, and you said he doesn't have any regret. And you also said, though, he doesn't deserve my tears, and those ladies don't deserve my tears. So I think that's where it gets a little convoluted. I was trying to find the right notes because I remember jotting that down on my laptop. But anyway, all right. For Breon, the wild night gave him clarity about the kind of partner he wants to be moving forward. I regret what I did, but I've grown up a lot. He says, going straight from the world college basketball to a corporate job. Breon says Temptation Island was the first opportunity to do some serious self-reflection. I even cried talking about how I grew up, something I haven't thought about in forever, he explains. It was a big learning experience for me to see the value of the woman I have. Shante, who also doesn't open up easily, more than agrees, crediting the experience for pushing her to share how she's feeling. Shante and Breon, who are both now in therapy, I'll clap for that. I'll clap for that. Are on track to move in together once this lease is up. They've been leaning on their families and mentors for support. Having someone who is older, married, and looks like me to talk to has been really, really good, Breon says. They're both rather looking forward to a future that includes marriage, travel, and hopefully kids. Until then, these best friends are content spending every day together, cooking, working out rather, and hanging at home. As Breon says, we're just chill people who are trying to survive their 20s. Okay. That's Tyler, seeing the fact that there is no message inside from Taylor. So Tyler, his status is being in a relationship. Tyler is currently in a committed relationship, just not with his original partner, Taylor, or Kay, the woman who he left, Temptation, or Kay, the woman with whom he left Temptation Island. From the beginning of the experiment, he was hot and heavy with Kay, but the two realized their lives did align during a conversation on their last date. Still heading into the final bonfire, Tyler says he chose to leave the island with Kay because they had formed such a strong bond. While he hasn't seen Kay since filming ended, Tyler has run into Taylor quite a few times. About a week after returning to Nashville, he saw her at the gym, which led to an emotional hours-long conversation about their experience, including the incendiary Taylor saying bad things about him at the bonfire. She definitely just went personal, overshared. Tyler says Taylor apologized for her now infamous bitch tendencies comment, but explained that she wanted to be honest about their issues. Tyler says the two discussed a possible reconciliation, but he knew he was not in a place to do that. 2 months later, after hearing he had started dating someone else, Tyler claims Taylor to reach out why he couldn't give their relationship another chance. It was hard to navigate. He says, we haven't talked since that phone call I've run into her at Costco. We don't say anything to each other. Soon as Tyler returned home, a friend introduced him to a woman named Lauren, and they hit it off. He credits the success of his current relationship to Temptation Island, which pushed him to know himself better. It's been fun to talk openly about all that personal growth for Lauren. He says moving forward, Tyler has strong intentions for his future with his new romantic partner. He also has plans for his career and has recently signed with modeling agency. Okay, congratulations on pursuing your dreams. I don't think the modeling career will be that big, but hey, listen, dreams All dreams require you to take the first step. So congratulations, Lord. Ooh, Lord. So Taylor Hurst. So this is Taylor here, everybody. So Taylor Hurst, still looking back. Taylor doesn't have any regrets about Temptation Island, including her comments about her then boyfriend Tyler. I probably should have said bitch tendencies, but at the end of the day, I'm going to call it like I see it. She tells Doom. Taylor was there to address problems in her relationship with Tyler, who she maintains had worked for a year and wasn't contributing anything financially. In order to do that, she needed to be honest. I did not say anything to make him purposely look bad. She says we had issues, and so I was not going to lie to everybody around me that I was going to lie to everybody around me that made everything was hunky-dory. Rather. While Taylor accepts that some of her comments may have hit below the belt, she doesn't think they excuse Tyler cheating on her with Kay. At least, you know what? I'm okay. When we get to Ashley, I will say my joke. Oh my Lord! After their first conversation following that gym run-in, there was an additional phone call about possibly getting back together. I literally have screenshots of all this because I know how this man is. She says Tyler was very emotional on the call and said that they would have gone to couples counseling in order for reconciliation to work. That's why she was shocked to learn through a mutual friend that Tyler had just gotten back from a trip with his now girlfriend at the time. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. She said, so I blocked him and never looked back, and we have not spoken since. Once she finally set a firm boundary, Taylor spent the next 6 months showing up for herself and not dating. She's now in therapy to continue to work through her abandonment issues. Good for her. What she said, Temptation Island brought to the surface. After everything that's happened, Taylor is approaching the possibility of commitment with caution. I still need the time and space to continue to heal, she says. Choosing myself, I'll never lose. I think that's a wonderful thing to be able to have that good self-reflection and recognize that just because things don't work out doesn't mean that there's not more to come. Oh my Lord, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to do it. At least Tyler did not propose to Kay, because they I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a brand out there in the world of weddings, and I think you guys know it.
I get to love you forever. I'm yours forever. I do. Every kiss begins with K.
It was right there. What was I supposed to do? Let's roll. Moving on. Let's go to Ashley now, shall we? Ashley is single, and this was the moment where Grant learned that Ashley was going to leave with Danny, but she is single now. So let's talk about it. We got back together for a bit. Ashley tells Doom about Grant. That was a shit show. Her words, not mine. The former couple's romantic roller coaster took off once again due to Grant's persistence, says Ashley, who didn't speak to him for months following their time on the island. Then out of nowhere, Grant popped back up in her life, rather. I just ran into him at the bar literally next to my house and just went down here from there. She says he told me that he had been going to all of the places he had been going out to all the places trying to run into me. Ashley learned that after leaving the island alone, Grant began exclusively dating Natalie, the single he connected with in the experiment, but he still chose to pursue Ashley. And they went on to date for 2 months. He cheated on Natalie with me. Oh. Ashley admits sharing that their not so coincidental encounter occurred while Grant was still entangled with Natalie. Grant, this is why you are where you are, good sir. Honestly, you probably should have left with Natalie. Because now, guess what? Now you've pissed off Natalie. So the person you made a connection with on the island, you cheated on her with the person that you originally brought to the island. Oh, my Lord Jesus. I will give him credit. He did everything he could to try to fix it, says Ashley, but there just really wasn't anything back. There just really wasn't any coming back rather from everything that happened. I couldn't just let it go. I was never going to believe or trust that he was going to change moving forward. Ashley isn't opposed to dating, but it's not a priority. I was single for a very long time before Grant. I was very okay with it. That said, her time on the island taught her a valuable lesson about her approach to relationships. I really need to pay attention to people's words and actions align. I don't give someone a million chances just because they beg for it. As for where she stands with Danny, the man with whom she left the island, they sailed into a friendship. We talked for a little bit, but just fizzled out. Says Ashley, we live very different lifestyles, and we kind of knew that going in. I was just more trying to stay away from Grant. But Danny wasn't the only single who caught Ashley's eye. There were tiny things about Logan that reminded me of Grant, so I slowly drifted towards Danny because he felt so safe. She says, the outside world, though, she has gotten to know Logan's sweet and innocent nature. I still talk to Logan. Ashley reveals, I don't know if anything will come out of that, but I do think he's a cutie, so I still flirt with him. Oh, my Lord. So, Grant. Obviously, we know that you're single. I left the island alone, and I'm alone. What a shock! Grant says of his life after Temptation Island, I'm single, working on myself. While he stayed relatively tight-lipped on the details of his post-experiment relationships, Grant is no longer attached to Ashley, his original partner, or Natalie, the woman he hid off from the island. What did I tell y'all? After the island is taken away, after all the margaritas and pina coladas, and after all the dates are paid for, and the nice villa you get to live in, once that's no longer there, what do you do? After witnessing Ashley talk trash about him in the bonfire clips, he is prioritizing his peace. In real life, I didn't know how she was talking about me to other people, Grant said. Hearing her talk badly about things she and I had privately talked about and made goals to further in our relationship sucked. Being around women who he felt were very different from Ashley made Grant rethink their commitment. Being these other girls who were so soft and nice really just stuck it to me that's why I needed a partner, he says. For the record, Grant says he was only open to the idea of kissing Natalie because he was trying to force himself to get over Ashley. It was kind of my way of letting go, he says. At the time, I didn't want Natalie to feel like a rebound. That girl's incredible. She is like the softest, sweetest person I probably ever met. So I wanted to make sure that she felt cared about too. Grant's Temptation Island experience was filled with confusion. He admits that he could have probably taken more time before getting physical with Natalie, especially for Ashley's sake. I think it was very unaligned with my soul. I was so distracted, overwhelmed, that my decisions at the time weren't extremely thought out. He admits, I still feel like I was being my wholehearted self, so I don't regret anything besides Ashley having to watch. Ooh, my Lord Jesus, child. Ooh, my Lord. Confusion when you cause the confusion. My Lord Jesus. All right, y'all. Let's talk about the singles now. Singles. Kay, her status is single. After her final overnight date with Tyler on the island, Kay says it was pretty clear that the two would date. For starters, Kay wanted Tyler to experience single life instead of jumping onto another relationship. Good for you, Kay, for having some coof about you, and for that coof, I will play it once again.
I get to love you forever. I'm yours, forever I do. Every kiss begins with K.
Oh, my Lord. While there's no denying they connected on a deep level, Kay is not convinced anything more than a friendship will have developed between them had they met off the island. We were put in such a romantic setting. That's why it became romantic, she says. We both still look back at it as a great experience. I think he's such a good guy, but I don't think he's my guy. A few months after Temptation Island, Kay gave her ex-boyfriend another shot. Now she's been talking to someone new, but it's casual. Thanks to her time in the experiment, she's being more intentional about finding a partner who shares core values. Moving forward, it's going to take a lot more for me to get invested in a relationship because I love talking about those things with how she explains. Kay also has learned how important it is to be present when getting to know someone new and how much closer you can get without distractions. We had no phone, so all we did was talk every day, all day. Danny is single. Danny and Ashley may not have dated after leaving the island hand in hand, but he is still very much in her corner. We ended up getting a pretty cool story and connection, and we're still really good friends, he tells to do. Back home, Danny started a new job in direct sales that was physically and mentally demanding. So navigating a long-distance relationship just wasn't going to work. Okay, good for you for recognizing that, Danny, for sure. Since then, working, finishing school, and traveling have kept him busy, which means putting his day in life on the back burner. But it's just ultimately up to timing. He says, when the right girl does come around at the right time in my life and the right time in her life, I think that's when it'll be possible to start dating. When that happens, Danny plans to be the same supportive guy he's always been. I like to make people feel, especially in a situation where I know I can help them. He says, now though, he'll approach relationships with a stronger sense of adventure. Temptation Island showed Danny that super unique dates help build strong connections. I feel like doing things outside the box brings people together. Yeah, those super unique dates that help build strong connections that Temptation Island showed you, they costed money, so all that was paid for. But good for you for learning from those dates. You know what I mean? There is Natalie. Natalie is single. And when Natalie returned home, she didn't expect her relationship with Grant to go anywhere. What? That you were afraid to not leave the island with him? Okay. Until he invited her to join him on a work trip about a week later. We had the best time. I was kind of surprised, Natalie said. Then Grant made a grand gesture as they were parting ways. He chased me down the airport and made it this whole extravagant thing, which I'm sure you can picture from Grant, and was like, I want to dive into this with you. Let's be exclusive. Since the trip went so well, she was game, but when Ashley soon came back into the picture, Natalie realized she'd been played. He ended up getting back together with Ashley, which I was kind of honestly expecting because he'd just been so back and forth. She explains, I'm very straightforward. If you're going to do something to disrespect me anyway, I'll just never speak to you again. She did. Good for you, Natalie, for having standards and requirements. Good for you. Good for you. Looking back, Natalie believes Grant took note of everything she said. She was looking for a partner and then tried or perhaps pretended to be those things. Despite numerous texts, voice memos, FaceTime, social media follow requests, and even a 4-minute apology from Grant, Natalie is not losing sleep at the breakup. I haven't even shed a tear about this, she says. I'm not distraught whatsoever. Still, because she did get so close with Grant, Natalie wishes the two were on slightly better terms so they could share a few laughs. But I think it's better that we don't ever talk again. She says lately, Natalie has been single and thriving. I'm just having fun doing me, living life. Well, congratulations to you, Natalie. Those were some updates, were they not? Yes, indeed. To Mark Wahlberg, the host of this fabulous show, how host Mark L. Wahlberg weathers relationship storms on Temptation Island. It's real for me. I don't know how to detach or phone it in. On Temptation Island, 4 couples at a crossroads face the ultimate test: temporarily split up and date singles in a tropical paradise to determine if their relationships are built to last. But this just isn't fun, games, and seeming hookups. It's a journey of endurance, patience, and self-discovery. When couples with years of history face tough truths about themselves and their partners, things get real and messy fast. I bet that moment the moment. I take this very seriously. It's real for me. I don't know how to detach or phone it in. He tells to do. Haven't done it for years and years now. I can tell you that the people who come on Temptation Island really do get answers to their questions. What goes into being the mediator and voice of reason on an emotional roller coaster? Below, Wahlberg opens up about his approach to hosting news and what fans can expect from the new season, why Temptation Island has endured. You've been hosting Temptation Island since it first started in 2001. What about the state of day in 2025 still makes the experiment perfect for these times? It's really difficult now because every time you open your phone, it's just like an array of temptations that you have access to. You can slide into someone's DMs, and it wasn't like that before. But what remains true is that no matter how much you think you know, if you're not resolved in your relationship, there are doubts and questions. You can't control other people, but what you can do is look at what a good relationship would look like for you and what the barriers are between you and getting that. How do you prepare as a host to guide the participants through this journey? For me, it's all about listening. There isn't a script we're following. There's nothing planned. I've chosen over the years not to look at the clips before the bonfire because I want to be trusted by them. I want to be able to sit with them and ask questions either gently or firmly to see if there's something for us to learn. I've seen reactions that are crazy and then some that you think are going to be crazy and they're actually relieved. For me, the prep is no prep, just be in the moment. I don't really need to know what you're going through. You tell me what you believe. I just don't see a benefit for me studying up on one storyline when the viewers are watching it fresh. If you just listen, then all the information you need is usually there. And that is a great producer. The best hosts are the best producers. In order to produce an experience, you have to be present in the experience, and you can host the experience. What is it like to watch these couples learning and growing in real time? I get choked up and I have to pull my shit together. I know it sounds like a lie, but I say to them, I am committed to you getting something out of this than I think you are to you right now. When I see just a light go on inside them and they consider something in their life that they've never had before, that's the thing you got to give space for. I've done therapy. Some of those people haven't. So when you see a little spark happen, some skipped in consciousness, that's an opening. When there's an opening, it matters to me. I keep in touch with a lot of these people. It's just a TV show. But if I can move something around a little bit while we're doing it, and that makes a difference in a positive way, that's pretty cool, right? Absolutely, my friend. This moment right here is when Mark was talking to Ashley. That was a very intense moment. And it seemed like Mark wanted to give a hug to Ashley for sure. Tell us about some of the new elements of the show that fans can expect this season. There has been some bells and whistles and upgrades over the years, but the concept is basically the same. It's really simple. It's one of the things that makes this unique, and there is no prize. There aren't a lot of rules. If things go sideways and people need space, we can make room for that. We did introduce the tent this year. That was deep. It's funny because you don't know what's going on in there, but the theater of the mind is. What does a typical day look like for you during filming? Are you interacting with the group at all? People think I'm sitting in the booth watching everything go down, but I really don't see them unless I'm checking in. We're there for about 3.5 weeks total. I'm not trying to get into their experience because when I show up, it disrupts whatever they're going through. Now, there have been times in this season specifically when something kind of goes down, we have to make an adjustment. I come in and talk to them. The way to get a relationship that lasts is authenticity. Day one, I'm trying to be real and grow a relationship, which is as much effort for me as it is for them. That doesn't necessarily mean that they got to love me, but if I'm lucky, trust develops so that we can get our sleeves rolled up and make some things happen. And there is Temptation Haven. That's Ashley and Danny there. What made you go out of your way to give Taylor extra care when she was having having a challenging time after the bonfire? In Taylor's case, she said, I'm not worthy of being loved. That's why I get my dad vibe on. I'm like, look, I know you're not feeling it right now, but that's a lie. We're going to work through that to know the truth. When Kate came back, I wasn't trying to say, hey, here's your hookup. I was saying, this is a subtle reminder that you are unlovable. If nothing else, I love you. I got you. That's an example where we stepped out of the format a bit. That was unexpected. Were there any other bonfire moments from this season that surprised you? Breon, Shante, then Ashley watching the clip of Grant. I think everybody around was like, she's just going to leave. She's going to freak out. I was smiling, saying, it's never the way you think it is. Her reaction was, I'm relieved. And then she started to bloom. The truth is that we want them to believe what we want to believe. But when the truth gets confirmed, as painful as it is, it's kind of a relief too. Do you ever find yourself anticipating whether a couple will work out? As a viewer of Love is Blind, Temptation Island has more energy than Love is Blind. Not sorry. And Mark L. Wahlberg is a better host than Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey. Fight me. But you won't, though, because you don't have enough mental capacity to box with me. Okay. I have all the answers, and I'm judgmental. So are we, Mark. So are we. But as the host of Temptation Island, it's not like that. I always say to them, we're always going to go through this experience. You're going to decide to stay together or not. I try to hold my resentment, even when sometimes I feel like some of the dudes are just spitting crazy stuff. If I'm trying to tell you who's staying together, who isn't, I fail. I stop trying. I say that to them at the beginning, on or off camera. I'm committed to all 8 of you leaving this island better than you were, but to be clear, it's for couples. And then they looked at me scared to death. Looking back on all your years as host, what are the biggest challenges and rewards? The challenges are having to watch people in pain, seeing people's perception of their relationships go down in flames, and then trying to be there for them in the right way. The upside is when you see somebody who's had all this guilt and all these bad feelings about themselves make a shift. I always tell them, if I show you a picture of you at the first bonfire and you at the last bonfire, you'll look physically different. Those are the wins for me. I'm grateful that they allow me into the experience when someone shifts with somebody. It may not be for this relationship. It may be for the next one. There's a little taste of growth. I don't know if I did do it, but if I was a part of it, that moves me. Of course, Mark L. Wahlberg, one of the TV hosts of all time. I hope to get to meet him and work with him someday soon. Hey, if y'all need a friend inside the house for the men's villa, I'm available. I ain't got nothing to do for 3.5 weeks. Well, I mean, except virtual tour live, of course. We're still gonna be good. With that being said, I did tell you there was an update with Breon and Shante. I saw this update. I'm like, oh my Lord, is this the vibe? Let's talk about it. I'm right here, Temptation Island, Breon Whitley. I shouldn't have had that threesome. We're getting death threats. This is an exclusive from TMZ. Let's get into it. Breon Whitley, who says he's the most hated man on Netflix, tells TMZ he regrets the threesome he had on Temptation Island and the negative backlash it's brought on him and his girlfriend. So I'll let this clip play here. Okay, pause. We will listen to you in just a minute. We spoke to Whitley, and he tells us his threesome with Alex and Courtney on the first season of the hit Netflix show was a mistake, but he's learned lots of lessons from it. In case you missed it, Breon is receiving major backlash after the cameras caught him having a steamy threesome with 2 of the 12 tempters on the island, and many on social media are blasting him for being unfaithful to his girlfriend Shante. Of course, Breon regrets everything that's gone down, but he says he and Shante have never been better, and that he hates the way that he had to learn, but I do like the fact that I did learn. Whitley says, while he's slowly building back trust with his better half, telling us the two are living together, he's fully committed to honesty and transparency moving forward. All this, we're told, is in service of becoming a better partner and possibly future father. While most of their days are pretty routine, filled with cooking shows and antique store visits, Breon does admit the social media backlash is far from the everyday trolling. Not only have Breon and Shante had to limit comments on social media, but they have also been receiving numerous death threats from outraged fans. Oh, wow. I don't know who that is, but she looks decent. Whitley says that he can handle the hate as long as Shante, who's crushing it as a Pilates instructor trainee in Georgia. Good for you, Shante. And her family are in the line of fire, but clearly people aren't laying off either. Breon adds the editing of the 10-episode show certainly doesn't help the public's opinion of him, but admits he gave producers a lot of content to work with, and he's owning that. Out of the 4 couples that went on the show, it's safe to say Breon was tempted the most. It sounds like he and Shante are building a new island together. Now, I will say this. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. I will say this, right? With what Breon did, was it right? Absolutely not. Should Shante have broken up with Breon? Abso-fucking-lutely. If not breaking up with him, she should have been on her own. He should have been on his own so they could work it out. But it should never get to the point of death threats. These are still human beings at the end of the day. And I don't know what it is about reality TV and people feeling like they got to put 20 on 10 and experience that's not their own. But yeah, so let's hear from Breon here.
Well, after that situation occurred, even after, you can see even right after, I still wanted to be egotistical and cocky, but I think that's when I really started to see like the pain and the hurt that I was causing my person that I loved. You know, I was seeing her reactions to everything. It really felt like, wow, this is not about you at the end of the day. Like, you're affecting someone majorly, right? And I think that really broke me. And I was like, hey, what am I doing? You know, did I get joy out of what I just did on the show? Maybe for 5 seconds, right? And then it's just, I don't know. I get emotional now thinking about it because I like having to re-watch her pain and whatnot. I just feel stupid. And I realized that I want to be able to grow with somebody. And guess what? When you have an emotional connection, you grow the physical flourishes way more. And that's what we've been able to have. And it's been beautiful. And it was stupid. I hate that I said I don't regret this. I regret the situation 100%. Right. I love the lessons that I've learned from it. But I definitely regret. I hate my reaction afterwards. I truly love Shante, and it was a bad moment that I had. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad I can learn from it. I hope people can learn from it as well. It was hard to build the trust back, right? As I think that makes 100% truth, but I think I've been able to show that, you know, we live together. I'm not sneaking off, going anywhere at nighttime. I love just hanging out with her, being with her. We just grown really, really close as, you know, since we left the island. But yeah, I would say it has grown tremendously and will continue. And I haven't brought up any threesomes or anything like that. So that's nice, you know, that we haven't had to have that situation, because that's not something I want. Seeing what Shante has been going through because of my actions has been super, super tough. And she's gotten it probably worse as me or anyone. And she sat there and read the Bible and cried the whole time, but she's gotten just bullied like crazy. And so it's tough having the comments on, because we can't really post anything without getting a bunch of hate and just the craziest death threats and all. Like it's insane.
Now, like I said, I don't hate Shante. Shante is a lovely person. And all the hate that, you know, people are giving her, if it is in that fashion of death threats and your life is over and you suck, that is out of line. unequivocally. I was only upset with Shante because I believe that she deserved more for herself. I don't hate Breon because I don't know the brother, but I do hate what he did to a person that was a ride or die for him on that island. So, with that being said, there was, now of course, we've been hoping for a Temptation Island reunion, but of course, has not happened yet. But Nick Viall, who was the Bachelor, and his finale was interesting. He has a podcast called The Viall Files, and it says here from US Weekly, Alexa and Lino haven't had one serious fight since Temptation Island, and more of the Viall Files takeaways. So while it's been nearly a year since the latest Temptation Island cast left the final bonfire, it appears that they still have some scores to settle and tea to spill. Ooh, not tea to spill, child. Alexa Santorini and now fiance Leon Tarazzi sat down with Tyler Bashir's Taylor Bird, Grant Larson, and Ashley Moore during the Thursday, March 27th episode of Viall Files to rehash all the drama from season 9. Join the show honestly seemed like a godsend, Lino said on Thursday, referring to joining Temptation Island with then girlfriend Alexa. It was, either we were ready to make that next big step, and this test was exactly what we needed going in, and we knew exactly what we wanted to get out of it, and we did. On Temptation Island, couples are forced to live apart and in side-by-side villas with a cast of tempters or temptresses, hoping to come in between the pre-existing relationships. While Alexa and Lino didn't set any boundaries going into the experiment, they also weren't interested in entertaining other options, and they got engaged in the finale. However, none of the other couples passed the same test, and they still conflict over what went wrong. Keep scrolling for a full recap of the biggest takeaways from the Viall Files cast reunion. Netflix fucked up because it should have been on Netflix, not Nick Viall doing it. Just saying. How Lino picked Alexa's dream ring and what went down during the proposal. On the show, it showed him ring shopping, and he had all the rings that the producers offered. So he told them to get a emerald cup with a gold band. Alexa recalled they made it in LA, overnighted to Hawaii, proposed the next day. He was not going to do it without something I didn't like. Lino, meanwhile, quipped that all the offerings were horrendous and didn't match the specifications he thought Alexa would want. They overnighted the next day. Lino added it came together beautifully. First of all, shout out to production for doing the right thing, and also shout out to Lino for making sure his woman was good. Throughout the final days on the show, Lino was secretly planning to pop the question. He practiced his speech to all the village temptresses. Alexa, meanwhile, was caught off guard when Lino proposed after leaving the last bonfire. I definitely thought it was on the radar, Alexa said. So the final bonfire was done. We were getting in the car. Our bags were packed, and the producers are there with us. And they're like, let's go back to the hotel. I think all of it's over. Parts of me thought I could potentially get engaged once it's all over. We're in the car all the way to the hotel. And I'm like, okay, I guess we left together. And that was like, woohoo, happy ending. After Alexa and Lino's 45-minute drive back to the hotel, one of the producers revealed that they forgot to tape our final interview and asked the driver to turn the car around. Once they arrived at the professional taping, Lino got down on bended knee to ask Alexa's hand in marriage. I had prepared anything to say to her at the final bonfire. Lino said, all I had in my mind was, okay, I need her on my left side. So when we turn the corner, I can get down my right knee so the camera can see me from the side. And I need to get the ring without her seeing it. Lino had intentionally wanted to misdirect and surprise Alexa, so she didn't even know that he called her dad before hand to ask for his blessing. I want to make it special as possible. Lino gushed. Lino and Alexa's communication has never been better since the show. Before going on Temptation Island, Lino and Alexa struggled with how to work through any right here. Before going on Temptation Island, Lino and Alexa struggled with how to work through any issues. Our communication now has never been better, Alexa said. The show really made us stronger. Lino, for his part, knowing that they haven't had one serious fight since returning from the island. Really? Y'all are a couple. Fights happen. But I'm going to take your word for it. Congratulations to the both of you. Tyler and Taylor get heated over misleading split. All right, let's get into it. When attention turned to the now exes, Taylor and Tyler, they had different feelings about whether they were exclusive pre-Temptation Island, who paid for more dates in his post-show social media activity. Tyler chimed in several recent Instagram lives and stories that Taylor had been lying about her on-camera accusations. My frustration is from the out context with misleading information from the show. Tyler said of their split, which occurred 9 months ago. I've completely moved on from this. The only thing that's kind of getting me angry right is the stance that she's trying to take. I feel she still needs to put me down in order to put herself up, and I don't get that tactic. Taylor, meanwhile, felt like she was just saying the truth and doesn't want to be perceived as a liar. I don't have really anything to say about that, Taylor asserted. Tyler reveals the timeline of his new relationship. Okay. Tyler is now dating a woman named Lauren, becoming an exclusive couple in September of 2024. The show wrapped in May of 2024, so this was filmed last year. She's very understanding, he gushed. In those first few months, I laid out my whole life, and I was like, this is it. This is me, and this is it. It's not perfect. This is not perfect. Then she shared her story, then we started hanging out more and more and more. According to Tyler, Lauren has not watched Temptation Island, except for a few short clips. Even how she supports me now through all the backlash of this, it's incredible, he added. Well, there's always somebody who is willing to play a role, Tyler. As Tyler moved on, Taylor claimed that he had paraded Lauren around the gym less than 2 weeks after filming wrapped. After we got home, they were working out together. They started from that point forward working out together every single day, Taylor claimed, so I will have to see that. Tyler, meanwhile, denied those accusations and said it would be purely evil to show off his new girlfriend right under his ex's nose. I've been going to the gym for 2 years, so has Taylor, and Lauren, my girlfriend, has been going there for 3, so we've all seen each other, Tyler said. She asked me to work out with her 2 weeks after the show. She was there, saw us work out. I understand it's her fault. I acknowledge that it's not comfortable to see, especially everything that we went through. He added, I moved on. We live within a few miles of each other. I'm sorry that they're still paying the casualties, but I did not make a conscientious decision to be evil towards you. Dude, really? How good went to another gym? Dude, you a hateful motherfucker. You are. Tyler, you deserve the smoke that's coming your way, brother. Moving on. Grant has regrets about cheating on Ashley again. Oh, my Lord Jesus. Oh, my Lord Jesus. On the show, Grant fell for temptress Natalie Cruz and was unfaithful towards Ashley. In the process, in hindsight, I probably should have broken up with her instead of making the same mistake that I made a year and a half prior. Grant recalled referring to his pre-show infidelity. I didn't learn my lesson about what I could have been doing better until after the show, until cheating on Natalie with Ashley. I really fucking it all up. It took a lot, he added. I had to really look at myself in the mirror and face some things I didn't like. I took accountability, and now I have a regret. My regret is not walking away when I first crossed the line. According to Grant, he just didn't have a physical connection with the temptress. It was stuck in a love triangle between the two women. So there is everything of the Nick Viles reunion. Now, there's this guy named Reality Steve, and he's in the basketball world, but he sat down with Mark L. Wahlberg, so I want to watch that interview with you guys.
All right, let's bring him in. He is the host of Temptation Island. The new season dropped on Netflix last week. Multi-time guest on the show. We love having him on. It is Mark Wahlberg. Mark, thanks for coming on again, bud.
Glad to be back.
It is, I got to say this. right off the bat, there's going to be a lot of gushing on this episode because honestly, Mark, I thought this was the best season you guys have had. I really do. About halfway through, I was like, I don't know, but some of the character arcs this season I thought were some of the best ever. And it's a credit to you, a credit to the production team behind this show. It was, in my mind, the best season you guys have had. Really,
I think it's a great season too. I can't take the credit for it. David Friedman, David Goldberg, David Friedman running the show. They put together, Netflix is another level.
Yeah.
The casting department in Netflix is amazing. David did a great job on the show. I thought it looked spectacular. And, my role is my role. So I just tried to step up to that level. But it's so much easier for me when there's a cast that's got, something to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Say the least. And I think, just format-wise, moving over to Netflix from USA was obviously a big jump. We know the streaming services do really well in the reality TV dating genre. And then I just think the aesthetics of it popped off the screen. It looked really good.
Really beautiful.
And now for you, and I didn't know how I felt about it at first, but then once I was into it, I was like, okay, this is good. I don't want to wait a week for every episode. Did you like all the episodes at once, or do you like one once a week?
I don't really have an opinion, Steve. I may be different than a lot of people that do my job, but I love doing the work.
Yeah.
I love being with the crew and being with the staff, being on set with the grips. I love getting into the conversation and being real in those moments. And then after that, I've got no control over it anyway. So, it's kind of cool that people are binging it and I'm getting all these messages. And it's kind of cool that it doesn't draw out over 5, 10 weeks, 3 months of time where I got to be careful what I say and stuff. But truthfully, my investment in all that, I'm a passenger. You know what I mean? I just try to hit my marks and do my thing and hope for the best.
Let me pause that there because I was like, oh my God, it should be weekly. But you know what? I loved the format. So Netflix, season 2, do the same thing. Just drop all the episodes because it gives us the chance to binge it all or for us to just go week by week. So you give us the option, right? So thought that was brilliant there.
I was, like I said at the beginning, I was like, man, I kind of like Temptation Island once a week. And then once I started binging, by the way, I finished it all in one weekend. I just could not stop watching. And
it's crazy. We did too.
Because I wanted to be like, wait a second, where is this going? Where is this going? Oh my gosh, Brianne, are you kidding me? And then it's just like, wow. And then I want to start there because, and the only thing I guess, maybe the downside of 10 is because we don't know how many people that are listening to this right now have watched all 10. Maybe somebody's on episode 3 and episode 6.
Too.
Yeah.
You don't want to spoil stuff, but at the same time, everybody's talking about it online. So
yeah. And it's like, what's the time frame do you give people on something like this for 10 episodes? I did it in a weekend. I expect everyone else to do it, but I know obviously that can't happen. But we are going to talk about everything that happened on the show, and people know this. So I want to start with Brianne and Shante because I thought his character arc was one of the more fascinating ones we've ever seen in the history of the show, because I'm guessing, like most other people, women in general, and probably even a few men that were watching, including myself, were probably yelling at the TV when everything went down with the threesome, saying, good God, how could this guy possibly think that this is acceptable, that this is okay, and just playing it off so flippantly.
Right.
And then Mark, we got to that bonfire at the end. It wasn't the final bonfire. I think it was the penultimate one, where we then find out about all this trauma this kid has had in his past. And it broke my heart for the guy. And I'm not saying that excuses his behavior.
Absolutely. No, but I got to tell you that for me, I felt like I may have made a mistake because I wish I had gone there earlier. I'm trying to early in these bonfires, and I don't know anybody. I don't know the background. I only know what I know. But I'm always trying to find some way into, like, you're complaining about behavior, complaining about things you want. What's behind it?
Right.
And had I really kind of dug into him quicker, I would have said, this isn't really about sex. This is about abandonment, and anger, and a little boy who never had any idea what it's supposed to be. And so I'm not condoning his behavior, but it makes me understand the compartmentalizing of, like, so I do this thing that I'm completely disassociated from. It's just a thing. And we can make all kinds of argument about like threesomes and all that as conquest rather than sex.
Right.
It's avenging things that have happened. I'm not a therapist, but it doesn't forgive the behavior, but it sure gives you an understanding and a little compassion for the kid, because he had no break.
None.
He had no chance. What do people expect? That you're going to just be from foster home to abuse to raising yourself to all this shit, and you're going to be able to know how to navigate life.
There's no way
in a healthy, non-toxic way.
Full hand.
He needs,
you can't win
in my opinion, he needs some professional help. He needs to start digging that out. And you don't see that in the bonfires, but I definitely say that to him. But I guess if anything, I feel bad that I didn't go there quicker. But I'm the host of the show. I'm not really a therapist,
right? And
so I'm trying to figure it out as we go, and it went the way it went.
Even though everybody at home wants you to be their therapist, because they think you're absolutely great at your job. And there were just a couple instances this season where you really nailed it. And I know a lot of people are sitting at home saying, exactly. When Mark says that to somebody, I sit there on my couch and I say, yeah, exactly. And the Brianne thing with Shante was really interesting, because I think midway through the season, there wasn't a single person watching this season that was like, oh, these two have hope. There's a way to get through this. And then you get to the end and then you find out, okay, there's a lot deeper here. This guy, the only reason he's saying the things that he is about threesomes and sex is because of where he came from and his past. Now, the thing that is interesting to me was the fact that they did decide to leave the island together. However, Shante, when expressing that, never seemed to have a smile on her face. Like, I feel like she was
it felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm without knowing anything, I'm pretty sure she had decided not to stay.
Yeah.
When she came to the bonfire. And it's kind of weird because Brianne said, look, I don't even need to apologize. She's going to take me back.
Yeah.
And she walks off. And then that's another place where I was like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here as a host, because my gut was to go over to her and say, now, come on, you know what you need to do. But also, it's really a tough line for me, because it's not my job to decide for them what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Ultimately, they're grown-ups and they've got to do what they got to do. So the line of where to intervene is tricky. And so, and you know what? Now that I've had to think about this so much, Steve, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, maybe Shante knew his background. So maybe where she has grace for him is to know how so many parts of him have been broken in the past. So you just can't know.
Mark?
Let me pause it for a minute, because I get where Mark is coming from, that Shante may have known how broken Brianne was. But Mark, if I'm not mistaken, you said, how did it feel to see this side of your person, who is your girlfriend, by the way? And Brianne said that he never really seen her in that light before. So obviously something was not sweet in the Kool-Aid. But I do also get your point, Mark L. Wahlberg, of maybe Shante knew more than we knew. So I definitely can see where you're coming from with that.
Until you brought that up, I never thought that in my head. I figured she did know. And you're saying she might not have known until they were sitting there?
No. I'm saying she may have known more about him than we thought she did, which gives her the reason to say, yeah, he acts out.
Yeah.
But I know the real guy. And also, I don't think she's like that frail, emotional woman that, he cheated on me. And I think she's kind of matter of fact about his flaws, Yeah. And ultimately, love is love. I you can't judge it. It felt a little really like she was being a hostage for us, but I don't know how much of that is projecting on them stuff that is not true. So, my heart's with them both.
And I was fine with her first statement to him when she had to give her decision, which is not right now, essentially. You need time. I need space. You need space. And that seemed to be logical to me.
Yeah.
If I could have pulled her aside, if that was appropriate, I would have kind of broken the wall maybe. I wouldn't have done this ever, but my head later was like, I wanted to say to her, look, walk away now. And in a week or two, you guys can get back together. It's the show ends, but life doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, that's being proactive beyond what I think my role is. But like the audience, it was really visceral for me. It was really tough to sit there and watch, so, and more importantly, it was tough to sit there and watch and not do something.
Right.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. And, this is somebody that I could, everyone mid-season was like, there's no way these two could ever last. There's actually a part of me that thinks they can if Breon gets the help that he desperately needs. He needs to talk to a professional and learn way more about himself before he jumps back into a relationship, whether it's with Shante or
I'd like to think
anybody
that we
else.
kind of broke open a little bit of area for him to consider it.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think he'd ever made the link between his behavior and his past.
No, I don't think so.
And
either.
so, man, that's a long journey.
Yeah.
And as despicable as his behavior and his words seem on the show, you got to remember that it's a show. So there's more conversation than you see.
Yep.
And I may be a Pollyanna dude, but I don't think he's a bad guy.
No.
I really think he's like 90%, 80% good guy and 20% fighting the worst demons a guy could fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have some space for him.
Yeah. That's how I see it too. At first I was really upset with Breon, but then, when, Breon let go and really gave that perspective of what he's been through. It's like, you know what? Okay, it doesn't excuse it, but it gives some context there, for sure. So, but hopefully Breon will get the help that he needs. Like I said, death threats are, beyond the pale.
For sure. And, I guess I was going to ask you this to the end, but I might as well bring it up now. Are we getting a reunion show? Is it still in the works, or is it a no, or we don't know?
You know more than me.
Okay.
I don't think so this season. I think that would have happened at this point. I think what you're going to get is some sort of Netflix where they now update would be my guess.
Okay. And I think that's what we know.
I can tell you, I keep in touch with people. Mm-hmm. I have no idea where people are. The only ones I know are Alexa and Lino.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really have any idea.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of us, kind of want to know. Like, has he gotten the help? Did they take a break when they got, when the camera stopped rolling, she's like, well, maybe I should take a break.
I know.
You need to get help for yourself. And yeah, it would be good to know. So I want to move on to Ashley and Grant, another interesting, very, very interesting couple that had some issues they had to deal with. Grant, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong here. We know he has a daughter, but he said he was never married to the mother of his child, correct? He apparently, I guess, cheated on her when they were pregnant or after they had the baby.
I'm not sure about that, Steve.
Okay. Yeah.
I really don't. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, but basically,
I'm not sure if he was with her and cheated on her with Ashley. I really don't know how that.
I know there was cheating there, right? There was cheating in his past.
I think so.
Yeah. And then Ashley and him just had this, another one where you're just like, wait a second. Mid-season, you're like, okay, well, clearly, Ashley was making it known. Walking back into the villa, I'm single. It took her a few episodes. She was definitely hard to coming around to the process. She's crying a lot, but then she sees the clip of him in the shower with Natalie, and she's just like, I'm single, and here we go. Then it turns into this guy is thinking that that was going to be okay, and then telling her he loves her in his 30-second message, and and she's kind of having the same response I think that a lot of us at home were, which is like, what does this guy really think that he can do this and get away with it? And then at the end, he's the one that says, I want to leave alone, where I think most people thought he would probably leave with Natalie, and she's the one that leaves with Danny. Right? Danny. So again, another kind of 180 where I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. If you asked them in episode 5 or 6, how do you think these two are ending up? I think everybody would say Grant's leaving with Natalie and Ashley's leaving alone, you know?
Yeah. A couple things about that is like before she sees the clip of him cheating. Yeah. She seemed to production and all of us like really ready to bolt. Yeah. Really having a hard time. And then so we go in that bonfire. I don't really know what's in the clip, but I know something bad's coming. And producers are like, she's gonna leave. She's gonna go home. I say, don't be so sure. I've seen some crazy stuff happen. And it was really interesting to me that she sees the clip and her response is the first smile we get. And she says, I'm relieved. And I think people can relate to the fact that you've got this suspicion, in your heart who somebody is, and you're holding like this hope against hope that he's not that guy. And then when you see him being that guy, there's relief that you're not crazy.
Yep.
And that was the turn for her to start getting empowered, start having a good time, and, start expressing herself. And, so I guess that's a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah. And opening herself up to Danny, because she was pretty closed off to Danny and the other guy whose name is escaping me. The only two that she was in. Logan. Yeah. The two that she was interested in.
You got to love Danny, right?
Yeah. Just seemed like a really good guy.
Sweet guy.
And I think, and the reason why I think I said I like this season the best out of all of them, and I'm not saying that casting didn't do a good job in the past, but I feel like, I think you can say in some past seasons, I think the singles were more about just creating maybe salacious TV or whatever. I actually really bought into some of the singles and bought into, I think they would be interested. And then the couples themselves, while we all know that most people that are at a crossroads, quote unquote, in their
This here is a vacation like nowhere else, because here you can find new thrills, big chills, and oh, look at that.
That's pretty cool.
There's a new adventure happening every day. Universal Orlando Resort.
Yes, indeed.
A relationship wouldn't really choose to come on a show like this to determine whether or not they should be together.
Correct.
They'd probably just go to counseling or have better communication. But I also felt like the 4 couples on this show were not out for any sort of TV fame or anything like that, or Instagram followers, or looking for something after this. I don't know. It felt a little bit more or more real to me this season. Not saying I didn't enjoy the other seasons, and there weren't some couples that were really legit and had some good stories. For some reason, these 4 really, I don't know, they really resonated with me, and I really liked the choice of these 4 couples. Really did.
I liked them too. Even with all their flaws, I was always happy to see them, which is usually the case. I mean, I kind of go there with them, but I just thought that there's no slam to people on the seasons past.
Yeah.
Each season, and I think that's one of the things that makes this show really unique, is that it's as different as the couples. Yep. Whatever their cast. But I just thought these people were able to express themselves, whether you agreed with them or not. They were able to say what was going on. I thought, they were just a little bit different level, and the singles too. So, from a physical aspect of everybody's beautiful to, them being able to express themselves, I thought that was, another level. And again, my hat's off to production. I know you spoke to David Freeman, didn't you?
No, I haven't spoken to David.
Oh, I thought you had spoken to him, but yeah, he did a great job, and casting people at Netflix are, next level. And so, and I can only do what I can do with what I have. And I thought, I just thought it was all well done.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. When you were sitting there at the final bonfire with Ashley and Grant, Did you have any expectations in your head of where you saw it was going? Were you surprised at what Grant said? Were you surprised, or were you happy with Ashley standing her ground? What did you think of those two while you were going through Final Bonfire with them?
You know, I was a little surprised that Grant kind of turning it on her a little bit about the love she wasn't able to give him. But, you know, maybe there's some truth to that. I just felt like watching them that rather than keeping score of who's right and wrong, this just wasn't feeling right, them together. I kind of thought he was going to leave with Natalie. I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Same.
And I thought she'd leave alone, even though she and Danny were really vibing.
Right.
So, but that stuff I don't really care about. I mean, it's like whatever you choose, I'm down. I don't know.
You know, the next couple that I want to get into, I thought was your best work, and that was Taylor and Tyler. Tyler has a very, very calming demeanor to him, where this guy, I mean, he was this all, never had one of these highs, never had one of these lows. Very well-spoken guy. I think he was a little misguided in some of his thought process, but he wasn't a guy that flew off the handle or ever went off on anybody. Just very, and you just don't see that on the show. Usually someone gets mad, and it's just like you say, in the emotion, what you're feeling right now, don't let that, you know, make you make any judgments towards anything else because you're angry or you're upset. This guy was just flatlined the whole show, but he was well spoken, and I thought it was interesting. But when I say it was your best work, man, when Taylor came out and talked about the fact that everybody in her life has not been there for her, or has abandoned. I can't remember if she used the word abandoned.
Everybody leaves.
Everybody leaves. I'm sure you heard more of it, but we never got like details. Is this, she wasn't just talking about exes. Clearly it must be family members as well. I don't know what her mom and dad situation is or anything like that, but the way that you stuck up for her and got this woman to believe in herself when it really looked like there was a rock bottom there for her where she just couldn't feel anything. And she really thought that she was a worthless human being. Like, I really felt that from her, that she just thought nobody's going to ever love me because nobody has in the past for at least a long period of time. How in the world I didn't even say how in the world, because you're so great at your job and the way you were able to instill some confidence in this woman, because this was a broken woman.
Well, again, I always say you're not broken, you're just feeling broken.
Yeah.
Look, it was obvious to me. She'd talk about stuff and she'd watch stuff with a smile and a straight back and a clear voice and no tears. And I'm like, this is a really strong woman. And we talk about armor. I said, you know, armor protects you, but ultimately it rusts. I don't know why I was trying to be all like dropping bars, but that's what came to mind. I'm like, you know, and so I was intrigued with her because behind that strength is protection. And so when she said what she said, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think it's so common. I think so many people can relate. How are you going to have a love relationship that's full when you go into it sure that they're going to lead, and more importantly, you're not worth it?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just had this I just felt like I saw her, you know, and I think everybody does. And so you could kind of look at her and say, lighten up, you know, be soft and loving. But like she's looking at it from a standpoint of preservation. So it's like, you haven't worked in a year. It's my house. And those are, in my opinion, surface issues.
Yeah.
But when she revealed and tears came that, look, her overwhelming feeling is she's just not worthy of any kind of love at all. Like if I would leave me too, she said.
I've been there too.
And that just, you know, just crushed me.
Yeah. I mean, you even took it to where you showed up at the villa just to tell her that.
We had, Case was going to come back in, and the producers are like, you know, have we ever done this before? Have a single return? I'm like, I don't remember, but I don't, you know, this is Temptation Island. You don't have to have a reason.
Yeah.
Do what you want. I said, but I feel like there's something I could say that, you know, I want to say. Are you guys down? And they're like, sure. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to say when I came in there, but I just wanted to say, look, you know, which was true to me is that since the bonfire, she hasn't been out of my mind. And Case coming back because he was kind of interested in her. I'm like, look, I'm not saying there's any pressure. I'm not saying he came back and you're supposed to hook up and this is a thing. I'm just saying, let's use it as a metaphor, right? Here's this guy who apparently left for whatever reason, and he came back, and I just want you to consider that maybe that's something that could happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not about you, but maybe not everybody's going to always leave, and maybe the sooner you kind of connect with that or start forgiving yourself, maybe that's as soon as there's an opening for somebody to step in, somebody really strong, somebody really able to handle your fears, you know? And so I got a little choked up,
and I got to tell you, I choked up as well. When Mark L. Wahlberg did that, because, you know, hosting, I've said this to you all before, hosting is recognizing that you're in the room, but the room is not about you. And I remember my last relationship, my ex said, you don't have to be preachy. You can just be still and just speak. I didn't get what that meant because I've grown up in a village where they've always empowered me. So it can come across preachy, but it really is just trying to be relatable. And my hosting style is like Mark's. You and me are in this experience together. So it's no point in me being so involved to guide you through this experience that I don't recognize you in this experience. There's no point in me being so involved in my role of guiding you that I'm not in it with you, that I'm guiding you, but I'm not in it with you. So I definitely relate to Mark's hosting style there.
which I hate because it looks like cheesy TV, but it was real for me. And if it moves something for her, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had to say something. That's all.
Yeah. And you didn't want to wait till the bonfire to do it. You didn't need to do it in front of, you know, the other women. It made sense in the moment, especially like you said, with Case coming back. Tyler leaving with Kay was her name, right? Kay?
Yeah.
I can't say I'm surprised by it. He spent all of his time with her.
Right.
I don't know enough about, you know, we had heard it on the show, 5-year marriage, immediately moved on to Taylor. Now he ends it with Taylor, immediately moves on to Kay. I mean, it could be a situation where this guy feels like he has to be with somebody at all times. Like you said, you don't know their situation right now. We don't even know if they've lasted post Island. But what's your assessment of Tyler during the show and then at that final bonfire and deciding to leave with Kay?
I think he's a kind, gentle soul. I think he wants to be in love. I think you're kind of right that maybe a little time with himself wouldn't be a bad idea. But, you know, I think it was overwhelming and apparent really early that the relationship with Taylor wasn't working for him because he was downstream of a lot of anger and expectation and he wasn't meeting it. And then he's I'm not going to say he's a softer guy. He's not soft. She kind of calls him out on that, but he's sensitive. And that was weighing heavy on him. And I think once he got to the island, it was like and got away, he was like, I feel a little bit freer. And so I think that explains a little bit about how quickly he kind of found somebody else. But he's a good guy.
Did you feel like the comments that she made, you know, bitch tendencies, he says he felt emasculated by her, the fact that he didn't work for 10 months and she was very vocal about that. She paid for the house, she pays for the bills and all that. I didn't feel like that was out of line. There was clearly a power struggle in that relationship.
Yes, it was.
It seems like they were not on equal footing here. Agree?
Yeah, I think she was saying her truth.
Yeah.
I think there was some truth there. It doesn't make it any easier to hear. Even if you're not working all the stuff, you still feel terrible when you hear it.
Correct.
And then you know, it's sort of one of those things like for whatever reason, you probably don't feel great about what you're being able to achieve right now. But hearing it from the person you're in love with doesn't make it any easier. So I think he was feeling a lot of pressure, and what she was saying he was aware of. And I think he felt relief kind of saying, I'm moving on.
Yeah. And I just want to wrap up here with Lino and Alexa, obviously the love story of the season.
Yes.
Just another really interesting arc, because I think when you saw Lino at the beginning of this thing, probably thought he would give in to temptation. Seemed like that was something he was knowing he was going to be tempted. And just to see his journey throughout the whole thing, see Alexa come to grips with the fact that she doesn't need to, 1 month into the relationship when she cheated on him, and here they are 3.5 years later, and it was still this struggle between them, to see them get to the place that they got to. Again, anytime I see an engagement on this show, I'm like, it's a really cool thing. I mean, we saw Kirsten.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah.
I felt like they were both in love. There was never a question. He had issues that predate her about, being not first choice in his family. And we had much longer talks in the bonfires. So that was a very clear issue he had of not having like swagger in that sense. And then she was carrying around a lot of guilt. It was very basic. And so I kind of tried to direct them into saying, I know you feel this about him and she feels that about you. Work on your own stuff. It'll make your love stronger. And I think they did. And I think we see it.
Yeah. And as far as I know, I believe they're still together to this day. So good for them. They're engaged. And yeah, it was just a really, really good moment to wrap up the season. So Mark, we love having you on. Temptation Island, all 10 episodes are out on Netflix right now. You can check it out and then maybe go to their Instagram profiles and maybe just do a deep dive to see who's still with
see what you can figure out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then let me know.
Yeah. Mark, thanks again for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Living with opioid addiction can be
a great interview with Reality Steve there. So I'm going to turn off my camera now because we've done the whole show for over 2 hours. Yes, we have. I really do. I really do love what we do over here. Because there is so much that we do. Like I said, anyone can make content to exist on social media, but it does take somebody to create content with soul. And, first starting out with Temptation Island this season, I really did not know where I was going to be at with the show because, like I said, it was on USA Network. I thought it was decent on USA Network. I honestly think that, Temptation Island, it's the format that keeps on giving. I can't wait to see the growth on that show on Netflix. I think Netflix did the right thing by allowing it to breathe, and not to mention too, because it is on a streaming service, you can have the stories breathe a lot easier. Because on network TV, you can't do nudity and this, that, and third, and it's a lot when it comes to being on a network. But streaming, it's more free because it's not FCC regulations. With the FCC bastard of commissioner, in charge, it's freeing to be in a space where you don't have to worry about being confined to being a slave to the rhythm. I'm waiting for season 2 already. And I was thinking about this. Could Temptation Island be for singles where you have, 4 men and 4 women and they're all single, right? And you do the same thing. The 4 men live in a villa with 12 single women and, they, date and then, they're at the bonfires and, they see what they see And then, the guys can glean from each other as well. And then the same thing with the ladies. Maybe they can live in a villa with 12 single men. And then, the bonfires can be, all this happened on this date and that happened on that date. But that was just me thinking out loud. But like I said, a great season for sure. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it with me. These reviews have been so much fun, and I can't wait for season 2. So, I think there was a virtual tour destination roundup at 6:00. There's another one coming up at 9:00, and then of course, Beyond the Gates. I will watch that and have that for you up, so that way by the time Monday at 2:00 comes, you guys will be all caught up for Beyond the Gates as well. So yeah, that is it for me, everybody. Like I said, a daily motivational thought for you all. Thinking back to our time together with Temptation Island, I would say that temptation is available. The first thing I'll tell you about temptation being available is just because it's available on the menu doesn't mean that you have to eat it. Sometimes we will eat an option just to know what it tastes like. The gag is once you taste it, you want more of it. So if you don't want to have an addiction to something, don't bite into it. That's the first thing I'll tell you about temptation being available. Number 2 is recognize that you are in control of what can come from your temptation. And seeing the progression this season of these 4 couples, and I will agree with Reality Steve, it really did seem like no one was trying to be famous off of this show. This was, hey, I need some things confirmed, and let's see what can be from this. So I appreciate the genuineness of it. And I say that second thing of, when it comes to temptation, the first thought already left my mind, but recognize that you are the biggest contributor to your rise and fall of temptation. So the couples that we saw, that's what I was trying to say, my bad. Back, child. It's been a long day. It was a quick day at my job today. Very quick day at my job. But like I said, the genuineness of that these couples weren't looking for anything. Because temptation is available, there's usually a process of, because it is available, let me see what can be of it. So just recognize your intention can determine how strong or weak the temptation is. And then finally, because temptation is available, recognize that everybody is an option for temptation. And sometimes that no can be protection. But like Mark said, armor rusts. So don't say no to every temptation. Just say no to temptations that will not fulfill you, and say yes to the ones that will elevate you. So with that being said, everybody, it's time for the best outro on YouTube. Know what you do and do what you know. Never say you want more special, because you are always want a blessing, and trust you may not be where you want to be. By end of it, you'll be where you need to be. Do what you've been chosen to do. Why? It's one thing to call yourself, it's another thing to be chosen. One love, much love, all love. I have spent time with you. You have spent time with me. And hopefully by spending time together, our roster will be great together. And always remember, where you're doing radio, television, YouTube, living your best life, or just recognizing just because it looks sunny doesn't mean that the temperature ain't hot. And I don't mean the actual sun being hot. Just because it looks sunny doesn't mean the circumstances can't be proven. Make sure the replay is not just ready for you to watch it, not just for you to listen to it, but for you all to experience it again. I love you. I value. I embrace you all. Always remember, receive love you gotta give it, or receive love you gotta give it, or receive love you gotta give it. Whatever obstacles you overcome, whatever success you have achieved upon this particular day, I'm extremely proud of you. But no one else is proud of you. Be proud of your damn self. And finally, y'all, listen. What did I say about Temptation Island. The real work starts after the island is over. So always recognize if you have to have a source to make you do the right thing or do the wrong thing, you would never have had the faculties to be your own person. So commercial break and fireworks are coming your way for the day that was, for the day that's coming, for the blessings on the way for you, me, all of us, as a society, as a people, as a culture. I feel the love, and I send it right back to you. Good night, everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye.
All day. Yeah, we're working, let me play. You know me, work real hard, now we're ready, let's play. Ay, hustle up, yeah. Ready, set, let's go, yeah. Hustle up, yeah. Ready, set, let's go. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up a little louder. Now get low, come on, drop it to the floor, drop it to the floor. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up a little louder. Now get low, come on, drop it to the floor, drop it to the floor. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up a little louder. Now get low, come on, drop it to the floor, drop it to the floor. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up a little louder. Now get low, come on, drop it to the floor, drop it to the floor. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up a little louder.
Caesar. Just look at him. Politician. General. Author. Ruler. Man. Legend has it, he's not only stared into the belly of the beast, he's had it for dinner. Here he's free to relax, or party, or relax, or party, or relax, and party. His is a world of opulence, excess, and the occasional impulse buy. Not one to rest on his laurels, he's famous for ushering in a new age of entertainment. So, for anyone seeking a place where the sun never sets on a good time, all this awaits.
I am Caesar, and I approve this palace.
I got a question for you. What does this city know about luxury? Huh? What does a town that's been to hell and back know about the finer things in life? Well, I'll tell you, more than most. You see, it's the hottest fires that make the hardest steel. Add hard work and conviction, and the know-how that runs generations deep in every last one of us. That's who we are. That's our story. Now, it's probably not the one you've been reading in papers, the one being written by folks who've never even been here and don't know what we're capable of. Because when it comes to luxury, it's as much about where it's from as who it's for. Now, we're from America, but this isn't New York City, or the Windy City, or Sin City, and we're certainly no one's Emerald City.
This is the Motor City, and this is what we do.
I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you, and you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now, they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner. I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you, and you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now, they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner. I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you, and you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now, they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner.
Prepare for a journey beyond imagination, beyond belief, beyond anything you've experienced before. Universal Epic Universe, a new theme park where you'll step through extraordinary portals to 5 immersive worlds. Prepare for a cosmic voyage of discovery, an isle of fire-breathing excitement, a shadowy world of monsters and mystery, new wonders in the wizarding world, and a new way to play. Plus the splendor of a magnificent resort hotel overlooking the park. It's all new excitement at Universal Orlando Resort. A week's worth of vacation thrills with 4 amazing theme parks, a variety of spectacular themed hotels, and incredible dining and entertainment. It's all at Universal Orlando Resort, where you'll find new adventures every day. Explore the astonishing worlds of Universal Epic Universe at Universal Orlando Resort.